Today we are talking about transcending the matrix of illusion. And so far we have been talking mostly about how we perceive it, how we perceive the world. And in all reality, the matrix of illusion is created through our thoughts, through the way we perceive. So, of course, we're going to be working on the self. We cannot change others to stop emanating the illusion. We can only educate ourselves and align ourselves with clarity so that we can transcend it from an individual point of view. Now, picking up where we left off, we were talking about how the ego is nourished and grows stronger from external connection, validation, and how our core self is nourished and grows stronger from internal connection and validation. And this is done through meditation, energy work, all other types of mindfulness practices. When our ego is dominant, though, we'll notice how we struggle to find a place of inner peace and harmony as we're aiming for a version of personal success that is dependent upon external validation. In other words, if you're trying to find your happiness, find your happy place outside, you're going to struggle. We will not be able to find that inner peace, that inner calmness through external sources or through external validation. Using the illusion of an ego is a way of separating our core self from the identity that we display to the world. We mistakenly trick ourselves into believing that our ego is our true identity to protect our core self. Egos avoid having to face the fear of exposing our core self, fear of connecting to people from the heart center, fear of being vulnerable, fear of being criticized. One of the main teachings that I talk about and that I try to share with as many people as possible is to become the authentic self, to peel away those layers, to peel away the illusion of how we feel we must present ourselves to the world. I do that even in the name of this radio show. That my story of Just Bernard is that I am Just Bernard. I am not a label. I'm not even Just Bernard when we look down to the core of it. But that a lot of people ask me, why do I say Just Bernard? That is why. All things are predetermined by everything that has come before. This is something we need to understand. Our reality, our perception of reality, the events that happen in our lives are literally cause and effect. I'll never forget one time I was going to Miami-Dade College back in the late 90s, and I was in my mathematics class. And boy, I don't like math, but I'm driving home from class one day, and it suddenly hit me that mathematics, the whole idea of the equation, this plus this equals this, and if you change the variable, you're going to end up with another answer, another equals two. The same thing happens in life. This event plus this event causes this particular outcome. Every event causes the next outcome, that causes the next outcome, that causes the next outcome. Our lives can be looked at as a domino effect of everything that has come before it. What leads to this, that leads to that, whether it be our thoughts, whether it be our actions, whether it be our perceptions of those actions, whether it be the perceptions of those outcomes that we are experiencing. Everything, even our own thoughts themselves, are a cosmic convergence of all of these actions, all of these experiences. One thing that we must be aware of is we must not mistake the ego's claim to be the creator of our thoughts. Thoughts are not ours. We perceive thoughts. There is nothing you have done to bring them, or anything else for that matter, into being. They are not your personal creation. And I know this is something very difficult for an ego to swallow, but if we look at it from the spiritual point of view, there is no thinker. We are observing the thoughts. And that is one of the most important early lessons we'll learn about transcending the illusion of the matrix. Our matrix is created by our thoughts. And when we begin to identify with those thoughts, we are creating the illusion even further. When we can move into the place of the observer, when we can allow ourselves, I like to call it to go to the place between the thoughts, to be able to see the beginning, the middle, the end of every thought, and the space between that next thought, we become mindful of the thoughts. So, no, there is no thinker. We are merely perceiving. Now, isn't that a fantastic and clarifying relief? Think about it. Step back from what you perceive as being your own. Yes, you are their only witness, but that changes nothing. Do you claim responsibility for growing the hair on top of your head? Do you claim ownership of each and every sneeze? Do you will each one into being? Of course not. Thinking and everything else our body does is no different. There is no doer. There is only things being done. All events and appearances happen in accordance with the universal way, the Tao. The forever flowing river of consciousness, continuity that we call life is ever flowing. The universe converges into localized events that we call Earth, flowers, plants, animals, waves, wind, fire, and man. Each unique appearance then gives rise to even more apparent events and subsequent appearances, including the illusion of man creating his own thoughts and being the doer of all that he has appeared to have done. All such actions are, in a way, predetermined, shaped by that which has preceded it throughout the entirety of the cosmos, conditioned by biology or lack thereof, sentience, environmental conditioning, including the so-called accident of birth, or rather, when and where each apparent manifestation arose. There is no why, there is no reason, there is no intent, there is no volition, there is only the forever unfolding of independent, co-arising happenings, all of them brief and impermanent appearances in the illusion of space-time, all of them entirely unreal and non-existent on their own. Can we say a mound of soil is intentionally doing something of its own faculty when a seed germinates within its earthen embrace? Can we say a woman is intentionally doing something of her own free will when she clears her throat or scratches her nose? All happenings are predetermined, spontaneous arisings. No thing can be anything other than what it is. All actions are unborn. There is no true cause for anything outside of its conscious perceiving. Within you, consciousness, all apparent things appear because you are all things. You are because you are all things exist. Without you, nothing would be. The thought that we have done something is merely an afterthought of mind, a byproduct created by an ego who wants to claim everything as its own. Realize that your apparent doership is nothing but an illusion of mind. When you speak, where do your words come from? They flow, don't they? What makes you say the words you hear yourself speak? Do you honestly believe it is you? If so, who is this you that has exerted such an incredible act of volition to create something out of nothing? Surely this is the work of God, and in truth, you, consciousness, could indeed be given that name. You are a creator. Through your perception, you create worlds. Through your perception, you become the creator of all illusion. You are alone. You alone. There is no event that appears outside of you, as all things happen within you through awareness. The you who you believe is the doer of all that you have done is itself only a thought. Think about that. The idea of identity is merely just a thought, or rather a parcel of thoughts wrapped tightly together with the twine of past memories, of past rememberings. We must learn to realize that there is no entity within us. There is only the witnessing consciousness that is our true self. That simply arises within our bodily manifestation that is then expressed as the I am. That witnessing consciousness is expressed as the I am. The thinker is an illusion. In truth, there is only the thinking. There is only its perceiving. There is only its knowing. And you are that knowing presence in which all such apparent happenings appear. Do not believe you are attached to your thoughts. Watch each thought appear, but remain unconcerned, unbothered, and uninvolved with their content. Watch them. Be the witness. It's a wonder. What was it? Bill Hicks talking about the ride. It's a great ride. I'm actually paraphrasing. I probably got it wrong. You are not the thinker of your thoughts, so do not be boastful or sorrowful for whatever happens to appear. Let each one go. Don't cling to the thoughts. That is how we find unhappiness. We become attached to a happy moment and we try to relive it again. That is how addiction is created. Allow your thoughts to freely pass like a dandelion you blow into the wind. Be forever still as the mindful observer that you truly are. This is the peace of being. Let me be clear, however, this is not an excuse to no longer be responsible for your actions. There is no denying it. There's an incredibly convincing illusion of free will. You are clearly within a dream which has an appearance of personal agency, faculty, and volition. To be aware of the dream and to be its witness as it unfolds isn't to reject the dream. It is to accept it as the play of appearances that it truly is. As long as you remain inside the dream, you must play your part. Think of the red pill and the blue pill. I don't know how many people are still using that analogy. When you're in the matrix, you still have to play your part, whether we like it or not. Don't get lost in the drama, though. And don't believe that you are the character you appear to be playing. Your person, your character, does have a role to play. Just go along with the script and put on the best performance you can in accordance with Tao, without taking any of it personally. And by all means, enjoy the show. Remembering it is just a ride. It is just a ride. How do we develop this clarity? How can we move into that place of being the observer as we are participating and being a character in that play? One of the practices I find most helpful is that of meditation and mindfulness. Now, there are many ways to do meditation, and there are many ways for that our ego tells us we cannot meditate. And it seems to me, in my experience, that meditation is my practice to trick the ego into being quiet. It seems to me that within my mindfulness, when I am being mindful, when I'm living within each moment, when I'm being aware of my breath, when I'm being aware of my hand movements, the sound of my voice, that which I'm looking at, that I'm remaining in the moment, and therefore those distracting thoughts, those other stories and illusions have less control over the thoughts that are going through my mind. So there's something called open monitoring meditation. So this is great for people who feel they don't know how to meditate. So instead of focusing your attention on any one object, keep your mind open. Okay? Just monitor all the aspects of your experience, kind of like what I just described, without judgment or attachment. Let your perceptions be internal, your thoughts, your feelings, or external, the sound, the smell. But recognize and see them for what they are. They are the process of, this is the process of non-reactive monitoring of the content of experience from moment to moment without going into them. This is mindfulness meditation. This is a form of Taoist meditation. Focus your attention from moment to moment on the movement of your breath. Notice the subtle sensations of the movement of the abdomen, rising and falling. Alternatively, you can focus on the sensation of air passing through the nostrils and touching the upper lips. As you focus on your breath, you will notice that other perceptions and sensations continue to appear. It's normal. You'll hear sounds, you'll feel the body, your leg might fall asleep, whatever it might be, but simply notice this as it emerges in your field of awareness, and then just return to the sensation of breathing. The attention is kept in your concentration of your breathing, while these other things or sensations are simply a background noise. Just allow it. Allow it to happen. That is meditating. It is not what our ego tricks us into believing. Meditation is observation as well. So I'm gonna move a little bit into a little bit deeper into this actually, which is the Zen aspect of Zen meditation. As we're describing here, we could actually go into what I consider Zen meditation, which is strictly the focus of breath. So all you must do in this is to focus your breath. Focus on your breath. Doesn't matter whether you're taking a deep breath or a shallow breath, but watching the breath, watching the breath, watching the breath. And in order to increase the focus, what I usually ask students to do and what I do with myself is I'll count to 5. So let's do that now. We can do it together now. Just count your breaths, 5 inhales and 5 exhales. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just in those 5 breaths, you have regained, I don't want to say control because that's not a very Taoist way of looking at it, but you've reclaimed your perception of the observer. Notice how your thoughts begin to slow down. Taking in a deep breath and just focusing on the inhale and the exhale. Suddenly the world becomes more quiet. Your emotions become more neutral. Your perceptions become greater of what's going on inside of you versus what's going on outside of you. So you can always do this. You can increase it by another 5 breaths. Do 5 breaths, then do 10 breaths, then do 20 breaths. And it's wonderful to watch this evolution of Zen meditation, because you'll notice as you move into that 10, 15, 20-minute breath, your ego starts screaming. It begins to start screaming, no, this is boring. This is stupid. No, you have to do this. Oh, go do this. Hurry up. You're in a hurry. You got to go somewhere. You got to go somewhere. And it's a great play. I love to see it as a great play of the higher self, the core self, the authentic self, um, kind of like nudging our ego identity out of the way, and how much the ego identity dislikes being nudged out of the way. What ends up happening is you're going to develop this clear seeing that, the observed phenomenon is impermanent, it's unsatisfactory, it's emptiness of self. You'll end up with equanimity, peace, and inner freedom, and will continue to develop a relationship with these type of inputs. And as we continue to do that, the mindfulness begins to grow. The illusion begins to appear as it is, a story. It appears as one perception given at any particular moment, depending on your emotion, depending how you're feeling that day. And you'll find that you are the creator. So we are out of time. And actually, this worked out just beautifully as far as time for today's talk. And I want to thank you all for joining me today for this. Again, I'm kind of glad that we didn't have live video. I hope you were able to focus a little clearer on the message that we were talking about. I want to remind everyone that next week here on the Just Bernard Show, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Revolution Radio, we will be having Stephen Mailer from the Kemetic School of Ancient Mysticism. As well, those of you who are in the Roanoke, Virginia area, be aware I am going to be doing my Communicating with the Higher Self and Your Spirit Guides consciousness class live at the Roanoke Diversity Center in the fall. So if you would like to come see beautiful Virginia in the fall, this would be a great event for you to come join us here. And you can find more about that on my website at bernardalvarez.com. And of course, as you know, all of this is free. Well, not that course, but the shows, the classes on my website are free. If you would like to support this work, please become a patron on my Patreon page at patreon.com/Bernard Alvarez. And with that, I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week. I love you so much. Thank you for being a part